Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the natal chart of Peyton Manning, Part 2. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that he has 4 retrograde planets in his natal chart. And when you have a plethora of retrograde planets in your natal chart, at least like maybe 3 or 4, well, this could suggest that the second part of one's life may be one where they flourish more and have greater success. Now, don't get me wrong, Peyton Manning had a lot of success prior to age 30. He was really, I mean, he was been a great quarterback virtually almost all the years he's played. However, it wasn't until technically after his 30th birthday and when he won his first Super Bowl. He didn't win it until he was about 30 years old and 10 months at when he won his first Super Bowl. And he appeared in 2 others afterwards, but lost them. But many of you may know in the National Football League, for most athletes, I would say most NFL players, that pinnacle of success is winning a Super Bowl. And most will tell you that individual achievements or accolades are inferior to actually winning the Super Bowl or perhaps at least being in one. And it's interesting that his Neptune is in Sagittarius, sign connected with sports and athletes, and it's retrograde. And it's funny that it kind of correlates with what I'm saying about him. Taking a little, not getting that success that he really wanted until after the age of 30. And he also had 30, he had 3 other planets that were retrograde as well. So I thought that was, and Neptune can be connected with our dreams and ideals. So you understand what I'm saying. So it was a little delayed maybe in getting that, but he still managed to attain it. So anyway, he also has, according to his the solar chart, which I did for him because we don't have his actual time of birth. He has Pisces intercepted in the 12th, and he has Virgo intercepted in the 6th. Now, with Pisces intercepted in the 12th, it can indicate at times he might have difficulty, perhaps with compassion, idealism, and imagination in his private matters and in seclusion, when he's during his private life, basically. And he might have difficulty maybe seeing the overall picture in as far as seeing the whole picture in these matters as well. And Virgo intercepted in the 6th can suggest that there might be problems seeing significant details pertaining to work and health related matters. And what it could do when you have the interceptions, you always have a pair of them intercepted. It could also indicate an imbalance and distortion of energy. For example, there may be times maybe when Peyton might be overly fixated or obsessed with with analytics and details, and maybe failing to put it all together into the whole picture, which is associated with the sign Pisces. Then there may be other times when he might overlook important details and just is trying to see that whole picture, but he might miss 1 or 2 details. So it's a little bit of an imbalance when you have intercepted signs in your chart. Now, he has the moon and Saturn in mutual reception. Now, that's when you have 2 planets and others in each other's one sign of rulership. Now, though each planet is in its detriment, moon being in Capricorn, at least with the time that I did, I know it might be in Aquarius, but I'm leaning with the Capricorn, and that's the moon position based on the time that I did for his solar chart. And anyway, based on this chart, it would be the moon in Capricorn, which would be in its detriment, and it would also he would has the Saturn in Cancer, which is in its detriment, of course, as well. But when you have the mutual reception, it can enable those 2 energies to work better and work cohesively and work better than the typical planet that would be in its detriment. Now, or two planets in their detriment. Now, so for example, perhaps through his ambitious Capricorn moon, if indeed he does have this, I think in all probability he does, it would show that through career attainments, perhaps he can fulfill family responsibilities, which would be indicated by the Saturn in Cancer. And well, the next thing I want to talk about is that in his solar chart that I did, he has a cardinal Grand Cross. And a cardinal Grand Cross is or a Grand Cross in general, is a configuration consisting of two oppositions, and it has four squares. It has 4 points. And anyway, it could indicate much adversity and obstructions. It's like a T-square, but it's intensified and has an additional point. And being in cardinal signs, it indicates perhaps much activity, and it could suggest prodigious achievement if he's able to work through the difficulties and the I guess you could say the hurdles and obstacles associated with a cardinal Grand Cross. And it could indicate that there's going to be a lot of frustration and consternation of this configuration. It could cause a lot of exasperation and tension. And in this chart he has it in the 10th, the 4th, the 7th, and the first house. So in those areas, the first house being with the outlook on life, the physical body, the 4th house being home and family, 7th house relationships, partnership situations, and the 10th house being career. These could be all points of this great tremendous activity, and a little bit, and it could be points of agitation as well because of the cardinal Grand Cross, but it could indicate also prodigious achievements in these areas of his life. So anyway, he only has one planet in air, Pluto in Libra, and of course that's a generational planet. Now, having just one planet in air indicates that the communication may not be emphasized or accentuated. However, there are modifying influences in his chart. He has Sun conjunct Mercury, and Sun conjunct Mercury, regardless of the signs, it could give it could often give an above average IQ, I believe, and give certain intellectual and verbal capacity. And it could get also, he has Gemini, voluble Gemini on the 3rd house cusp, which could make him very eloquent and verbose, and inability to articulate things and understand and assimilate virtually anything, any subject. So, and he also has the ruler of the 9th house in his 1st house, which could indicate that abstract thinking can be really shown to others on a first impression. So, and he has been known to, by a very strong consensus, that he's the most cerebral quarterback in the NFL. And I think a lot of it was connected with what I described. So he obviously, despite having just the one planet in air, he does, and being generational for that matter, he has even more communication ability than that indicates by itself. Now, interesting in transits to his chart, he had I believe on September 13th, 2015, a solar eclipse in Virgo took place in the intercepted 6th house in his solar chart. And very interestingly enough, he played his first regular season game after that, the day after, on September 14, 2015, and he struggled in that game. He threw no touchdown passes. He threw for like 175 yards and I believe 1 interception. And I just don't know, it's kind of like maybe that kind of flared up, maybe something with his health matters and things connected with the work, maybe in a negative way. Perhaps because it was intercepted, it caused a little bit more difficulty, made it a little bit more stressful. Maybe the situation. Maybe that's what is going on in him, because he has struggled mightily this season, and he's not even starting right now, as many of you may know. Now, he also he currently has the North Node in Jupiter transiting his intercepted 6th house in Virgo. And being in Virgo, the sign of worry, there might be a little more propensity for him to be worrying right now regarding matters pertaining to his health. Jupiter is kind of a paradoxical planet. It's not all, it's benign. When you look at it, it's really very benign for the most part, but sometimes it could just kind of enlarge and expand issues. And the North Node transiting his sixth, well, the North Node by transit can often indicate matters that we may have to confront, and whether we really want to or not. And this could be very telling, the fact that it's going through his sixth house of work and health. And he also, what's interesting is that Peyton Manning also, there's a transit from Chiron in Pisces right now, and it's conjoining his solar intercepted sixth house ruler, which of course would be Mercury. And as you know, Pisces rules the feet. So he might actually be, I think maybe he does have an injury to his foot right now. So I thought that was very interesting. Chiron, I think, sometimes could be actual connected with physical wounds, not just emotional distress and wounds, but also physical ones. It could happen as well. I think many of you may know quarterback Ben Roethlisberger is a sun in Pisces, and Chiron, I'm not sure if it's within a conjunction, but it was relatively close to his sun, and I believe Ben Roethlisberger had an injury to his foot. So I think that's kind of it's might be a little connected with that transit as well. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the natal chart of Peyton Manning, Part 2, and stay tuned next time, where I will be continuing my series on the Sun and Ascendant combinations. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.